people. People think there's nothing here. People think there's been nothing here. And the first people that were of any consequence here were people like Robert Burns, modern history, improvement times, everything since. On the contrary, people look at a landscape, they don't have a Scooby-Doo. That, for example, all down there, that's a loch. You can see it's still trying to be a loch, failed loch as it was in the day. It's been quite big, it would have been a good source of food, birds and fish and everything. Anyway, I digress. Over there, with the mast on it, with the sun hitting it, that's Craigie. You can actually make out to the left where you can see the gorse growing on top of the green hills. That was a fort. It was a big fort, Iron Age. Also there, which we can't see because it sits behind the trees to the mast on the right, there's a broch, one of the few in lowland Scotland. There was also a third fort on the higher hill behind it which was quarried out in the 1950s. It's gone. That's Craigie. That's also the seat of the Wallaces. We've all heard of the Wallaces. There is a Craigie Castle over there as well, we can't see it just now. That's another story. The Wallaces at Craigie are another story. Anyway, Craigie, significant site, one of the few lowland brochs. Massive hill fort. Was it a hill fort or was it just an oppidie or ritual site? Was it just a royal sanctuary? We don't know. Nothing's ever been done in these places. There's Craigie. We come across over here. We can't see what's beyond there. Symington and Dundonald and all that are over there. We can't see them. We'll talk about them another time. The mast with the red light, which I don't know if the camera will pick up in the far distance, it's sticking out above a clump of trees, quite a long ridge of trees. That's Dundonald Hill. That's the largest Iron Age, Bronze Age site in Ayrshire that we know of. There was one almost as big up at Kilwinning as well, called Cairwinning or something. That's another video all in itself as well. I've spoke to Driscoll at Glasgow University. It wasn't a fort, it was a ritual site. They don't even think it was a royal palace, they think it was a ritual ceremonial site. Highly visible. You could see it from either side of the Clyde probably back in the day. There's no point in doing anything up there archaeologically because it's been trashed by the Ministry of Defence repeatedly. Coming across from that, you see a clump of trees and then a wee hill rises with a wee nubber on top of it as well, a wee flat platform. That's a medieval fortified farmstead. It's rectilinear, it's probably Norman. If you roll across, you can make out, I can see it because I'm just looking at the landscape, there's an old road there. But from the one with the wee flat platform, you come across into a clump of trees, the big clump of trees. That's a medieval church. That was a refuge for Catholics after the Reformation. It's noted as such. It's still there, they call it the Kirk of Fale. I think back in the day it was called the Kirk of the Forest, because this was woodland. There's records from like the 12th century or the 13th century of the Fitzalans granting the monks of Monkton access rights to fell timber in the River Fale, on the water of Fale. That's that clump of trees. Then you come across above the big farm. There's another clump of trees. That's Barnwell Monument. If you come from Ayrshire, you know what Barnwell is. It's where Wallace stood and watched the barns of Ayr burn meal full of English troops. That's probably not true. He maybe did stand there, but Barnwell is a Welsh or a Gaelic name. We'll translate it another time. It's nothing to do with barns burning well. You come across from that and there's a white farmhouse you can see sticking out the bottom of a line of trees over there. There's a Stone Age chambered cairn there, a kist. There's actually a telegraph pole top of it. And this below is Fale Loch. It's been extensive. It is that big that way back towards Turbolton. It was that shape, it was like a big L, two big wedges that came to a head which would be an isthmus of land, which is where Fale Monastery was built. Fale Monastery was Trinitarian, the Red Friars. Their mission was to rehabilitate or negotiate the release of captured crusaders or crusaders with PTSD. I think most people in those days probably had some form of PTSD. The Red Friars, they weren't popular locally. I can't remember the wee rhyme that goes, but they drank berry brown ale and very good kale whenever their neighbours had plenty. That's the only bit I can remember out it, but it seems they were deemed as parasites in the local community. However, they were an important order, the Trinitarians or the Red Friars. That was their duty. They were involved in a lot of stuff in the Middle East. John Knox trashed that abbey. Fail Abbey was trashed by John Knox. The funny thing there, John Knox at one point in his life was sold into slavery to be a galley slave with Barbary Corsairs. And here we are, when he comes back to Scotland, he trashes a Catholic order that specialises in buying people out of slavery. But that site would have been built on top of a pagan site. That was common in the Christian way. Most religions, they'll take over, they'll convert the people, and they'll build their churches or chapels or monasteries on what was there before. There's nothing left of it. We do know the buildings down there probably are made of bits of masonry out the old monastery. But that's really it. If you want to go over that hill over that way, about a mile, you'll find one of the Ayrshires few recognised crannogs at Loch Lee, which was full of kind of, what's your Battersea Shield, is that Latin? I think it is.
I think so, yeah.
Latin artwork. They've got some of them in the Dick Institute in Kilmarnock. Wooden moulds made for pressing into clay. Wooden carvings to press the pattern into clay. Things like that were recovered there, brooch pins. I don't believe this didn't have crannogs. It's been 10 times as big a loch. It's got ritual sites on it. I don't believe there went crannogs here. We've just never found them. Well, we never will. But the point is, folk drive about, look at landscape, they think it's been like that forever. It's not, it was completely different. Where towns were, people were completely different. People that didn't speak the same language as us, didn't dress like us. People need to appreciate that. They're so detached from where they come from, they just think it was Robert Burns. And that's all it's ever been. I want to talk about before. I want to make people aware of before. Because we've all been here a long time. Most of us, if we've family that we can record at least 200 years back in Ayrshire, quite sure if you took gene samples would be the same as the wee scrapings, we'd take out that Stone Age grave up there. Elites change, the normal people don't. That's it really. But I view loaded with stuff, and people say, well, desktop studies say there's nothing there, really. And all these things are Celtic era, Iron Age, Brittonic, and people can't make a narrative out of their landscape. I don't believe that. So, that's what, and Teallach's going to do. Right, lost landscapes, unknown landscapes, landscapes overlooked. In those woods there is Ladykirk, which was, in the pre-Reformation, it was a pilgrim site. People would stop on their way to Whithorn, for example. They would go to Ladykirk along the way. People would come from all over Europe to pay pilgrimage to Ladykirk. It's just your Mary Virgin, it's all that Catholic culture again. But people don't even know it's there. We'll get in there at some point when we need to get permission, and we will try and get a photograph in there. Ladykirk's just there. You'll recognise that, that's Prestwick Airport. That's the 77. From the bridge all across onto that field and across the burn onto this field is an old medieval village. You can still see the enclosures, you can still see the crop marks. The bridge actually sits on the edge of one of the round enclosures. Whether these were houses, round houses, doesn't matter. They could even just be pigsties, for example, but there has been a community here that has farmed here, that has lived here. Sandyford, that's the Ladykirk burn, it's not the Pow burn. But again, not a trace, lost landscapes.